Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, did you realize that how quickly we are approaching the end of another month, the end of a quarter, and the end of the first 6 months of this year? Wow. Where did time go? I am telling you, time it seems to be going faster and faster and faster. Well, over the last 6 months, what are some of the lessons that you've learned? I want you to drop it in the chat and let me know. I'm going to tell you some of the lessons, leadership lessons that I've learned as over the last 3 months, over the last 6 months. Right. So I want you to drop it in the chat, some of the lessons that you've learned. This is the 30. This is the 30, and I am your host, Patrick. Let's get it started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 154. That's 154 of the 30. Glad to have you. Thanks for being here. Remember to like and share this broadcast. If you are watching from LinkedIn, make sure that you subscribe to our channel. Certainly happy that you joined us. Continue to share this channel, continue to share this broadcast. Today, we are going to be talking about some of the lessons that I've learned over the last 3 to 6 months, specifically leadership lessons. This is the 30 where we provide relevant and valuable information to help you, our viewers and listeners, enhance your personal, professional, and spiritual lives. Now, if you have been a regular viewer or listener of the 30, if you know me personally, you know that I have a passion for development and growth. I don't just have a passion. I love it. I see it as part of my purpose, but more specifically along the lines of leadership development, team enhancement, and organizational development. So at the end of the month and coming up the end of the quarter, and certainly 6 months with June, and then here shortly as we move into the second half of the year, I want to take this time to really focus and reflect on some of the things that I've learned from a leadership perspective, some leadership lessons that I've learned over the last 3 to 6 months. And I want you to join me in doing so. I want you to put in the chat some of the lessons that you've learned, specifically leadership lessons that you've learned, or personal or professional lessons that you've learned, or spiritual lessons that you've learned over the last 3 to 6 months, so that we can have a discussion. I want to hear from you, and I want to see what you've learned, because I'm going to give you some of the things that I've learned over the last, as I said, 3 to 6 months. And learning is continuous, right? It's not something that we should stop doing. Um, it should be something that is ongoing. So one of the lessons that I've learned, and if you've seen our post over the last couple of days on social media, we were talking about some of the things that you want to do as we enter into the summer months, some of the things that you plan to do to invest in yourself, to invest in your own development. And that is something that as we go into uh, the second half of the year, I want to make sure that it stays with us and it's a focus, because just guess what? The first 6 months is pretty much gone, right? So we need to start looking now at the next 6 months, um, going on to the end of 2023, and start focusing on those things. What have you done in the first 6 months? And what are some of the things that you're going to do in the next 6 months? Because those are pretty important as you look to develop and grow yourself. So, what are some of the things that I've learned? Um, the first thing that I've learned, probably more of relearned, uh, if I'm to be totally honest with you, is the importance of self care. As we become leaders and we are elevated or or promoted in a space of leadership. And I'm not just talking from a corporate standpoint, I'm talking from a non for profit, from a spiritual standpoint, or from a business perspective. You may be running your own business, you may be the CEO or president. And guess what? You are a leader, right? You are a leader. So, what are some of the things that you've learned? The key thing, the main thing that I've learned is the importance of self care. You've heard us talk about this in the last month, 2 months, and we actually started talking about this last year, because as we start to take on different responsibilities, as we start to become more hectic, as we start to focus on our family, on our spiritual life, our family life, our professional life, that 24 hours that we have in a day tends to get a little bit shorter. Sometimes we want 25 or 26 hours, but guess what? We only have 24 hours. So, how we invest it is critical. So, my first thing that I've learned, and I would say relearn, is the importance of self care. So, what does self care mean to me? Right? Because in my younger years, I used to be pretty athletic, and as I get older, more mature, my time becomes more limited with everything that I'm doing. I'm finding out that the self care, as far as exercise, right, as far as exercise, is becoming less and less. And it used to be a pretty important part of my life, but I'm finding that I'm not spending as much time as I should in terms of exercising. And then I'm started seeing some different things happening with my body. So I need to really be intentional, because we're talking about the lessons learned and what can we do to improve or enhance or to get better. So self-care is a critical piece, and self-care is made up of many aspects. You can go back and look at some of the things, some of our episodes as we focus on self-care. It could be your physical care, it could be your mental care, right? But we need to really focus. I needed to really focus on my self-care. So guess what? So uh, in my house, I have some equipment, but it's there, but I don't spend the time necessary to really get in and do the workouts that I should. So I decided to make a commitment. I put my money where my mouth is. And today I decided, you know something? I'm going to be intentional and I'm going to start focusing on me as far as physical exercise is concerned. So I went out and I invested some money in a gym. Not just me, but I bought it for the family, my wife and I. So uh, when I have money on the line, that means that I have to go. I'm not just going to invest the money and not show up. So I may not go 7 days a week, but I'm going to be intentional to make sure that I'm there, and I'm going to encourage my wife to do the same. But we have to be focused on what's important, because if we're so busy in doing these things and we're not focusing on our health, how quickly can things go wrong? I'll give you I'll give you an example. And someone mentioned this to me years ago. It was a doctor. And he said to me, look at your body, think of it, and then compare it to a sink, right? So, a sink in your house, the more that you put into the sink and not cleansing it, the more stuff that you put into it, the more stuff that you put down the sink. Guess what happens? The sink is going to be blocked up. And in reality, a personal experience that happened to us last week, right? Our sink was stopped up. Water wasn't going down as it should. So when we don't focus on ourselves, as far as for me, physical exercise, what a doctor was telling me years ago was the more that we put into our bodies, and if we're not focusing on making sure that our bodies are fit and ready to go, guess what happens? Our bodies start to shut down. Things start to stop working as they should. So I'm intentional to make sure that one of the things that I'm going to do, one of the things that I've learned over the last 6 months, is that I need to get back to where I should and where I was, to be focusing on my physical self-care. But I also need to go a step further. We know as leaders, we have many things that pull us, right? We have people, we have business, we have teams, we have organizations. There are many things that are pulling at us. If you are like myself, who's actively involved in ministry as well, that's another piece, right? Another component. So we have many things that are pulling at our time. So you could be working, especially if you are self-employed, if you have your own business. We tend to work around the clock. I had someone on last year as a guest. And one of the things that she said to us as part of her self-care was that she takes every Friday off. She takes Friday off, and she's the business owner. She takes Friday off to do the things that she likes to do, whether it's hiking, whether it's going shopping, whether it's walking, whether it's spending time with family and friends. And I find I was like, wow, how can you take time off, right? How can you do that every Friday, take time off? But she was onto something. So I learned that lesson is that we also need to unplug as leaders, because we have so many things going on. We have multiple social medias. We have our phone, our computers. We want to post on Facebook, on LinkedIn. We want to do shorts and reels. And so we have all these different things. Then we have family. And so all these things are coming at us. What I've learned over the last 3 to 6 months is that we as leaders, we need to be intentional in the things that we're doing and start to unplug. Right? We need to shut down, shut the phone down, shut the computer down. Don't focus on social media. Give yourself a break. So it's easier said than done. I've learned that, but to be honest with you, I haven't been consistent in doing it. I started it, but I haven't been consistent in doing it. So over the next 6 months, what's my goal? Is to be consistent and to be intentional. So I'm just giving you some of the lessons that I've learned in my journey as a leader. So let's talk about what your journey is. Let's see here. Let's go. Alfreda said, great question. Lesson I learned is that the importance of having a concrete business plan will have an entrepreneur navigate you to gaining grants and loans to start up your business. Okay. That's a lesson that Alfreda's learned, right? In terms of having a concrete business plan. What lesson from a leadership perspective, what lesson have you learned? Or lessons that you've learned? So drop that in the chat so that we can talk about it. Another lesson that I've learned is this. See, as a leader, when you become a leader, when you step up in a leadership capacity or role, whatever it is, wherever that is, whether it's in your business or an organization, whether it's a church, whether it's a nonprofit or whatever it is, whatever organization you're in, and you've stepped up to become a leader, you're leading a team. It could be a team of one, or it could be a team of 100. It could be a team of 1,000. Whatever that is, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to not only focus on the development of our team members, but what I've learned is that we also have a responsibility to focus on the development of ourselves. Because sometimes we can get caught up in developing others and forsaking ourselves. So we really need to start focusing on our own development. That's a lesson that I also had to learn. Because again, I'm not just a leader, but I also train and teach and coach and develop leaders. So if I'm training and coaching and developing these leaders, it's incumbent upon me to develop myself even further, because they're looking to me for ideas, for thoughts, for guidance. So I need now to do what? To further myself when it comes to developing who I am as a leader, to become more effective as a leader. So that's a lesson that I've learned, because when you start to develop yourself, when you focus on your own development, your team members now see you as a role model, because they're seeing you, what they're seeing you doing is you're reading more, you're going to different classes, you're focusing on your own individual, personal, and professional and spiritual development. So they're seeing that and they're saying, wow, if Patrick can do that, if Bob can do that, if Susie can do that, and they have all these other things going on in their lives, now they see you as a role model and they want to be like you. So as a leader, you want to set the example. You want to set the table where others are not just looking at you, but they're learning from your example. Because guess what? People are going to be watching you wherever you go if you have a team that you are leading. So your own development is important. See, again, I can only speak for myself, but I want you to drop your what lessons have you learned from a leadership perspective, or building a team, or being a business owner. I want you to drop that in the chat, right? So that we all can learn together. Today, I'm giving you from my perspective, but let's share. I want to hear from you, and others that are watching and listening will also want to hear from you. So go ahead and drop that in the chat. But for me, I used to be an avid reader, and I have books and books that I've read over the years. But what has happened again, time, time, and the lack of commitment, and the lack of being intentional, and other things got in the way, like watching TV, uh, on social media. So all these different things got in the way. And I'm learning that I need to get back to the point of reading more, studying more, so that I can be more of an effective leader, so that I can teach more, I can give more information. So whatever you need to take, I needed to take some time. If that's you, I would highly advise you, I would highly recommend, suggest that you go back to reading more, to studying more. And I started, I got so many books here, and I just started reading in our coaching program. We assigned our coachees, and we have 8 people that are part of our coaching program, and they're coming to the end of the program. And by the way, watch out for, we're going to advertise and start talking about our next program, which will start, I think, in August. So you don't want to miss that. It's a 6-month program for leaders, business owners. So if you are a leader, or want to become a leader, or if you have your own business, you want to be part of our coaching program. But we're each person received the book. Let me put that here, Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. Right? And if you haven't read that book, I'm telling you, it's a powerful book. And we studied it on Tuesday. We actually discussed it, and we're going to continue to discuss it in our next session. And it is a powerful book. So even if you don't like reading, right, go get it and listen to it. Listen to it. You may not like to read. Sometimes some of the books can be boring, but listen if you're walking or exercising or laying down or doing nothing. Put it on. Listen to it. Put your earbuds on and hear it. Feed your mind. Part of what I've learned is I have to continue to feed my mind positive things. Self-development, personal development, professional development, and spiritual development. So you have to continuously and intentionally and being consistent in doing these things. So I started now reading books, and as I talk to our senior pastor, Pastor Bernard, he keeps giving me books and books and books. The newest one that he gave me is this book, New Thinking, Future Thinking by Samuel Chad. That's another book, right, that I got to read. So all these books, and now I have to go back to the old books, Think and Grow Rich, and How to Win Friends and Influence People. These are books that develop your mind, develop you as a leader. So that's what I had to do as part of my development, part of my personal development. And what that does, it also helps me in terms of being more of a resilient leader, because we all go through things, right? We all have ups and downs. That's part of life. But the key is to be more resilient as a leader. Don't have so many down times where you stay down. You have to rise above these things. Be more of what we call a resilient leader. So those are some of the things, and I'll continue to talk about these as we go forward. I think I'll talk about and continue this part 2 on next week, because it's important. It's important that we look back at the lessons that we've learned, and every time that we go through some things, think about, what have I learned? How can I improve? How can I get better? right? So I just wanted to talk about some of the leadership lessons that I've learned. There's some other things that next week that I'm going to be talking about, but I just want to come in and really open it up, start a discussion, and as we go forward, drop some of the things in the chat, even after we finish here and you remember some things that you've learned. If you're watching this in replay, drop it in the chat so that we can see it, so we can share it. I want to know, because it's about me sharing with you, but it's all about you sharing with me and sharing with all of us so that we can learn. It's about learning. It's about getting better. It's about improving, not just us, but improving those around us. So with that said, let me see if I have everything that I wanted to talk about today. So remember, just keep on looking at the points, looking at what you've learned. One of the other things, and I'll leave you with this, is that what I've learned is that working is not everything. Yes, we work hard. I love to work. I work hard. My family and I, we work hard because hard work is one of the keys to success, right? However, you heard me say we need to unplug, but here's another one. Here's a lesson that I've learned. We got to have fun. You got to have fun. You have to enjoy the ride. Don't let the time just consume you. Don't be focused in on everything outside of fun. We got to have fun. That's how you recharge yourselves, recharge your batteries. Be able to laugh at yourself when you make mistakes. If you have a spouse, be able to laugh together. Have fun. Life is about enjoyment. Have fun, folks. So that's one of the lessons that I've learned, is to have fun. Enjoy it, because life can be very short. We never know when our time is up. So as we focus on these lessons that I've learned, I hope this was beneficial for you. I will look to hear from you in the coming months. And as we end, remember, lessons learned. Keep learning. Learning is continuous. So until next week, we're going to have part 2. If you would like to get a hold of me, I'm going to give you the information that you can do that. info@jackmangroup.llc.com. That's info@jackmangroup.llc.com. If you want to drop me an email, go ahead and do that. Let me give a quick shout out here. Shout out to Cedric Wynn. He says 10-4. Shout out to you. My wife says, work hard, play hard. That's our motto. Work hard, play hard. And then let me see. We'll end here. Great information. Have a good night. Awesome. So thank you for being here, gang. I look forward to sharing with you on next week as we take this journey in terms of leadership and some of the things that we've learned. So if this was beneficial, tell someone. Share it with someone. Share it. Don't keep the information to yourself. Share the information. So until then, join our community, right? Join our community. Here's the link. Make sure that you're part of our growing community, because that's how you learn more. That's how you get the first things, the first announcement with anything that we're doing. You get it first, right? Anything that we're sharing, you'll get it first. So join our community and be a part of the Jackman Group community. So until then, may God bless you and your family. We will see you. Be safe. Bye.